I'd like to call the November 7th, 2023 meeting to order.
Here. Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Okay, if everyone's had a chance to look at the minutes, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
So moved.
Mr. Hussein, with the first? Second from Dr. Compton?
Yes, second.
All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have several items that are going to be tabled tonight that we will not hear. The first is R23-49, 3724 Sunset Avenue, Springdale LLC will not be heard tonight. The Trails at the Crossings Apartments will not be heard tonight. Old Mo East LLC will not be heard tonight. John Reddish Auction Service will not be heard. United Rentals will not be heard. June Campbell, Mimi Poppins Daycare will not be heard. County Line Storage and Ricardo Martinez Alvarez are tabled tonight. Yeah, I did Trails at the Crossing. Yes.
You're residing in the Larsdale.
Okay, the first,
I'm sorry to interrupt, and I know I just walked in, but it looks like I've caught you at a good spot before you get too far along. I was talking with some other council members last night at committee meeting, and I missed an opportunity, even though it wasn't at a council meeting, but I wanted to recognize someone, and I hope y'all will allow me that privilege and join me. Lorinda Jinks, who is, how long have you been writing now for Springdale? How long have you been covering Springdale? 6 years. 6 years she has been covering Springdale for the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. She's done an outstanding job. We appreciate her very much, not because she always wrote what we liked, but because she was good at getting information out. She wrote things that mattered to our residents and helped get good information out to them. So don't know who we're going to get, I guess, but you are retiring. You're retiring, is your last day tomorrow? Okay, last day tomorrow, so this will be her last meeting covering us. So write something really good about all of them tomorrow. But I just wanted to take a moment to recognize Lorinda and the work she's done and show her appreciation for the way she's covered the city of Springdale. Will you join me in that? Thanks, Lorinda. Thank y'all for letting me butt in there.
the first item on the agenda tonight is the Community Blood Center presented by Michael Ron Sr.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Ron. I'm with the Senior Director of the Community Blood Center of the Ozarks. And we're here to request a variance for a setback for us to be able to install an awning on the west facing of our property. And that would be where I would like to have the ability to move our setback from 50 feet currently to 19 feet to allow us to do this.
And if I remember correctly, the existing building encroaches on the setback as well.
Yes, it does. It's currently at 29 feet. So
I think that probably happened when the road was widened, more than
it
likely.
did. I talked to Jimmy Vaught in DOT Arkansas, and he said the last update that they had still had Thompson as a 2-lane road with a median. So
And it's their highway too.
yes, it is. He said the engineers were good at building them, they just weren't good at updating records. So
Is there any comments from the audience? This is a call for the vote.
I have a question. How far will the awning extend from the building?
The awning will extend 9 feet, 6 inches from the building.
Okay, thank you.
Call for the vote, Shannon?
Call for the vote by Dr. Compton.
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes.
that passes 6-0.
You need to get with the building inspection department to get a permit.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item is B 23-116, Steve King and Mary Upshaw, presented by Steve King.
How are y'all?
Could you tell us a little bit about what you're,
I'm wanting to put a 6 or an 8-foot fence between the interstate and the new house, just for a little more privacy.
staff comments?
Does anybody have any comments on this one? I don't think we do. Now, you have some gravel out there. Has that all been,
Gravel out where, oh, no, that's gonna be for the sidewalks.
okay. And you're doing the sidewalk improvements, but you're not doing any?
No, I'm sidewalk in front of the house. There'd be no, I'm trying to get, I got a waiver to do away with the sidewalk and the curb in front along the roadway as well. Because the road's so narrow,
Right, and you would be required to do the sidewalk along there as part of this building job. And so you're asking for a waiver of the sidewalk, and you're asking for the variance for the height of the fence
Yes.
next to the interstate.
yes.
We need to do these separately, correct? This is a call for the vote for the increased fence height from 6 to 8.
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote by Mr. Cloud.
Cloud,
Yes.
Compton. Hussein,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes,
Tyler,
Yes.
Austin.
Yes.
that passes 6-0.
The waiver is for the sidewalk installation. So this needs a motion of the recommendation to the council.
Do I have a motion for recommendation of the waiver to council?
I have a question. Is there a sidewalk already there?
There's not. There's no sidewalk down 48th Street. It stops at Bob Mills Road.
Is there any plans to improve that up that way towards the subdivisions north of there?
Katie, I don't believe it's not on any of the current bond program projects.
48th Street is not included on this coming bond program, no.
Your motion is to recommend to council approval of the waiver.
That's a first from Dr. Compton, a second from Mr. Austin.
Compton. Hussein,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes,
Tyler,
Yes.
Austin,
Yes.
Cloud.
Yes.
that recommendation passes 6-0.
Staff will prepare the resolution to go to council on the 28th.
Thank you. It'll be 600 or 560 feet, I believe it is. Yep,
Thank you.
thank you.
Next item is R 23-47, Robert and Sherry Squires, presented by Will Kellstrom and Brian Schnall.
Hi there, my name's Brian Chenal. I'm here on behalf of Robert and Sherry Squires. I'm the developer for Wiener Schnitzel Restaurants for the state of Arkansas. I appreciate your time. I'm here to answer any questions or issues.
Staff comment?
The comprehensive land use plan indicates regional commercial use for this property. The rezoning request is in keeping with the following goals and policies of the comprehensive land use plans recommended for approval. Improve the city's economic base and tax structure through the promotion of healthy, stable, and commercial concentrations. Encourage the development of a wide range of commercial development for the residents and tourists to include neighborhood, community, and regional centers.
Are there any comments from the audience? This is a call for the vote.
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote by Mr. Hussein.
Compton. Hussein,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Austin,
Yes.
Cloud.
Yes.
That passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Staff will prepare the ordinance that goes to council on the 28th.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is R23-48, Winford and Linda Phillips, presented by Swope Engineering.
Hi, Phil Swope, requesting C1 zoning on this A1 property. I think it's 12 acres.
Staff comments?
The comprehensive land use plan indicates low-density residential use. As you all know, there's been a major change in that area with the opening of Emma Street from 40th Street to Gutenson, which has kind of changed how all this area looks and will operate in the future. The rezoning request is in keeping with the following goals and policies of the comprehensive land use plan is recommended for approval. Assure adequate land allocation for commercial areas of sufficient size and in proper locations. Encourage the development of light to medium density commercial development along arterial streets that provide adequate setbacks and buffering to adjacent residential neighborhoods, and can encourage the development of small scale neighborhood retail and service uses at intersections along collector streets, at the edge of logical neighborhood areas, or within neighborhoods where suitable sites exist and conditions are appropriate to balance compatibility with convenience.
Do we have any comments from the audience? This is a call for the vote.
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote by Mr. Cloud.
Hussein,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Austin,
Yes.
Cloud,
Yes.
Compton. Yes. And that's it.
That
Thank you.
passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Staff will prepare the ordinance that goes to council on the 28th.
The next item is R23-51, RMB Investments, presented by Engineering Services.
Good evening. Jonathan Schmitz with Engineering Services. We are requesting a change in zoning from A1 to multifamily 16 and C5.
Staff comments?
The adopted comprehensive land use plan indicates low-density residential use. And again, this is one of those areas where there's been kind of a change in the development with Willie George Park, the PUD that has gone on to the east, and the recent rezoning on the northeast corner of this intersection. The MF16 rezoning is recommended for approval as a buffer to the residential to the south. It is recommended that the C5 zoning request be downgraded to C2 to be compatible with the rezoning recently approved on the northeast corner of the intersection. Is it possible for you to downgrade the request from C5 to C2?
It is possible. They were more interested in having the C5 zoning for the possibility of a drive-through, but it is possible.
Well, I'm asking you the question. Do you want the planning commission to review your C5 and MF16, or do you want to downgrade it to C2 and MF16? The choice is yours.
We would rather it be C5 zoning. Yes.
Request is as submitted as a MF16 and a C5.
Do we have to take them together? Can we approve one and then approve the other one separately, or?
I would think you can. Now, with that being said, are you going to stay with your request?
Yes, they would like to stay with the request.
Do I have any comments from the audience?
And was planning department's recommendation to change it from C5 to C2? Is that correct?
Correct. That's in keeping with what we just rezoned on the other side of that intersection.
Correct.
This would be a call for the vote for the MF16.
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote by Mr. Tyler.
Mueller,
Yes.
Parker. Tyler,
Yes.
Austin,
Yes.
Cloud,
Yes.
Compton, Hussein.
Yes.
That portion passes 6-0,
Oh, 7-0.
7-0. Do I have a call for the vote for the C5 zoning?
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote by Mr. Cloud.
Parker. Tyler,
No.
Austin,
No.
he's not here. Cloud,
No.
Compton. Hussein,
No.
Mueller.
No. That does not pass.
You have the right to appeal this, the planning commission's decision. You have to file that appeal within 15 days with the city clerk. You have to indicate why you think the planning commission's decision was an error, and you have to notify the adjacent property owners again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. The next item is R23-53, Marshall and Nancy Mitchell, presented by Andy Haig.
My name is Andy Haig. I'm here representing Marshall and Nancy, where am I? Sorry. Mitchell on a A1 to C2 zoning change, please.
Staff comments?
The adopted comprehensive land use plan indicates commercial and regional use for the area. The rezoning request is in keeping with the following goals and policies of the comprehensive land use plan is recommended for approval. Improve the city's economic base and tax structure through the promotion of healthy, stable commercial concentrations. Assure adequate land allocation for commercial areas of sufficient size and in proper locations. Encourage the development of a wide range of commercial development for the residents and tourists to include neighborhood, community, and regional centers.
Do I have any comments from the audience? This would be a call for the vote.
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote by Mr. Cloud.
Tyler,
Yes.
Austin,
Yes.
Cloud,
Yes.
Compton. Hussein,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes,
Parker.
that passes 7-0.
Staff will prepare the ordinance that goes to the council on the 28th.
Next item is FP 23-05, Deer Creek Phase 2, presented by Engineering Services.
Thank you, Brandon Rush with ESI. Just ready to final plat this phase. Happy to answer any questions.
Staff comments?
Staff only has standard comments remaining.
Engineering also only has standard comments.
Are there any comments from the audience? Could you state your name and address?
Yes, it's Andrea Wright, and it's 2350 North 48th Street.
We're just, Randy Brown, sorry. We're just wanting to know about the fence situation on 2350 North 48th.
Okay, does this property back up to this phase of the subdivision?
Yes.
Okay. I can tell you that minimum requirements do not require any fencing. And if discussions were had between you and the developer's engineer discussing some kind of personal arrangement or some kind of arrangement between the two to be done, that's a different story. But there is no minimum requirements for the fencing to be done. Okay?
Well, I know Brandon said in the December 2022 meeting that there would be a fence around the subdivision, and somebody here addressed the issue. he stated that in the meeting.
Okay, at that December meeting, Brandon, were we talking about fencing at the end of the hammerheads or the entire subdivision?
The end of the hammerheads.
I went back and looked at the the video and looked at the minutes. And the discussion at the time is where they were changing this portion of the subdivision to be cul-de-sacs. And the request was to put screening at the end of those cul-de-sacs that were now turned to hammerheads. And I think you made the comment there would be no other fencing. And as I remember, the drawings do not show any fencing in any other location.
Okay. Well, I was told by Katie and Ben that there would be a fence before the final plat was, for phase 2 was finished. And Katie stated that in the October meeting, just the last meeting.
Okay, but I'm not, I think there was confusion about which fence was required to be done. Katie, you want to address this?
Right, so any required fencing has to be done before the final plat goes to planning commission. Since this fence is not a requirement in our ordinance, it wouldn't apply in this case.
And her comments can't require something that's beyond the minimum. So if you have some discussions, y'all need to figure that out. That really becomes a civil matter, not one that the city is in the middle of, okay?
This is a motion, subject to staff comments.
Motion, subject to staff comments.
Motion by Mr. Hussein,
Second.
second by Mr. Clapp.
Austin,
Yes.
Cloud,
Yes.
Compton. Hussein,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes,
Parker, Tyler.
Yes.
that passes 7-0.
If you want this to go to council next Tuesday, the ordinance needs to be in our office by tomorrow at noon.
We'll do it. Thank you.
Next item is PP 23-19, Whispering Springs, Phase 1 through 4, presented by Crafton Toll.
Hello, Blake Murray with Crafton Toll. Proposed Whispering Springs subdivision is located at the southern end of Hilton Road, proposing 262 lots, of which 254 are buildable. We have 6 ponds, and we have 5 current phases. Plenty of water and sewer capacity for the site, and primary access points are off of Hilton Road and the new collector road that's being built east-west. Happy to answer any questions y'all have.
Staff comments?
Engineering comments, lots 105, 106, 90, and 88 have minimum finished floor elevations that are too low. They need to be at least 1 foot above the 100-year water surface of the pond. Lots 249 and 251 did not have minimum FFE set. Please submit a signed and sealed drainage report to engineering. Please add a trickle channel to the lot 250 pond. I know that's in a future phase. Provide a geotech report prior to construction. We'd like this subdivision to provide connectivity to Howard Anderson like we had previously in the other iterations of Whispering Springs. And then max grades within 100 feet of an intersection are supposed to be 4 feet maximum, and a variance has been requested for that.
Okay, is adding the connection to, is it Howard Anderson? Is that going to be a problem?
No, ma'am, that's not a big deal at all. We'll work with engineering to make sure it's shown the way that they want it to be. And I can speak to the variance too, if you'd like. I meant to mention that earlier. So the variance that's being requested is that southern intersection of Hilton Road and Street B, name pending. And the topography there is insanely steep. So the code says, 4% within 100 feet of the intersection. I mean, where our existing grades are like, 25%. So we're a little bit steeper there, and because of that is the variance request.
Okay, I'm missing something. Can you not raise it some?
We're cutting like 7 feet on one side, and we're filling like 8 feet on the other side, and that's with the steeper grade still. So it's very steep, existing wise.
Katie, you want to comment on that?
So we looked at the grades here, and based on this configuration and the slopes, we're okay with this.
She says with hesitation.
What will the grade be?
What was that? Oh, sorry.
What will the grade be? If it's not 4%, what will it be?
It varies. So like through the intersection, it's at like 6%. So it's moderately flat. But then within the 100 feet, it starts steepening out. You can see on Street B where it kind of falls off, and then also on Hilton where it falls off. I mean, that is a massive hill that is very steep, and it gets up to upwards of 10% currently in those areas. And it does flatten out. It's just this one area where the big hill is.
Is this a sightline issue or a stormwater issue or both issues?
Go ahead, Ben, yeah.
The reason for 4% intersections is for ice and snow and rainy conditions so that you can stop before you slide into the opposing street. In this circumstance, the grades just kind of dictate that we can't meet the 4%. We may end up having to stop Hilton Road in the future whenever the future subdivision develops, so we can avoid that way instead of using the grades. But the 4%'s in an ideal world. This one gets a little steep.
Are there any comments from the audience?
In the new cross street on the north side that you're having as your major access, second access point, is on the bond program and is currently under design.
Yes, that's correct.
Variance is a motion, subject to staff comments. It's a call for the vote, sorry.
Sorry, I got one more question. I'm sorry. Which phase is B Street in? Do you know?
B Street is going to be built with phase 3.
Can you go back to that color drawing? It shows the phases on it.
So we do have a little bit of time to massage, the vertical grades and everything with staff, but I don't really see a scenario where the variance is, not needed.
Understood. Call for the vote for the variance.
Call for the vote by Mr. Cloud.
Cloud,
Yes.
Compton. Hussein,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes,
Parker, Tyler,
Yes.
Austin.
that passes 7-0. Now I need a motion, subject to staff comments.
So motion.
Motion by Mr. Cloud. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hussein.
Compton. Hussein,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes,
Parker, Tyler,
Yes.
Austin,
Yes.
Cloud.
Yes.
that passes 7-0.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Next item is FB 23-03, Spring Street MXU, presented by Spring Street Springdale LLC and Roy Decker.
Good evening, board members, staff members. My name is Roy Decker, Duval Decker Architects, and I'm representing the project. We were asking for 2 deviations from the form code, the 35-foot height setback limitation, and the off-street parking. This is a very special project in Springdale. Of course, it's in the center of Springdale, between Spring Street and Turnbow Park. The form code is a terrific code. But it is a limitation and a hardship on this site, which, as you all know, has a tiny footprint. So we are going up slightly. Our top floor is at 35 feet, but our roof is above that. And a few important things about this project is we are actually really trying to encourage pedestrian connection between Spring Street and Turnbow Park. So the ground floor will be all retail and restaurants, so people will be able to move from Spring Street through the building and sit on balconies overlooking the park. And then up above that retail restaurant level will be 20 housing units, all with balconies overlooking the park. It's a terrific project. It is also at the center of the Razorback Greenway and really connects what will become the park in front of the municipal complex, Turnbow Park, and then the rest of the Razorback Greenway. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Can you address the parking? The variance is the parking off-site.
So the site, if you go back to the site plan, you'll see that the site is a postage stamp, as you know. The owner does own the building across the street and is dedicating the required 10 spaces for housing and 2 spaces for retail, which is or extra, in that lot and behind that existing building.
And to
this-
do
this-
that, you're going to take the canopy off so that
Yes.
you can access the parking spaces in the back. And will the access for that, or the crosswalk across Spring Street be lined up with the access into that parking lot?
Well, I didn't catch that, Patsy.
Well, the previous one you submitted showed the access point being further to the south. But because now that we shifted all the parking to the north in that existing lot, you'll move the
Yeah.
crosswalk and stuff to go with it
Correct,
too.
correct. Yeah,
'Cause
it'll align with the park.
Okay, there's a little bit of an elevation change
And
at
we-
that
and-
location, and you're going to have to address that.
And we are working on the regrading of that whole entrance right there. To make sure that both we have good drainage, we have collection for stormwater, and we have handicapped access across that intersection.
Okay.
Can you all go back one? Go back. No, go forward. Back, I'm sorry. No,
The buil-
forward.
The
Forward,
building
forward.
across the street that the parking is going to be behind, is that building going to remain commercial then? So that that would circumvent the parking requirement for that building?
Correct.
So
It
we're
will
not
never-
causing another problem?
Correct. We will not pass on a parking liability. That's right.
Well, but that building's commercial and the parking requirements are less.
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking. is
right.
that It probably doesn't have a parking requirement.
Go forward, just one more. One more. Well, I'm looking for the renderings. I don't think they're in there. I don't think they're included. See, you're missing out all the good stuff.
The rendering's in their packet, they're just not up there.
Got it.
Okay.
I was gonna show everybody the connections between the street, and it's a really great opportunity to kind of connect Turnbow, Spring Street, and then also the Razorback Greenway, and the owner is very interested in this being really a highlight of the Razorback Greenway in the center of Springdale.
And just in case anybody's interested, the bathrooms that are there will be put back, and we will have substantially the same kind of bathrooms we
Yes.
have in Vinson downtown.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's part of the arrangement of the sale of the property to the owner to replace, maintain or replace those bathrooms. And there will be temporary bathrooms during construction.
And I'm putting that on the record. It's going to be substantially the same when we have events downtown. Right, Roy?
We're gonna use the same fixtures. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Where does all like the trash deliveries and all that stuff happen? Is it going to happen down there and kind of where the bathrooms are now?
On the other end, if you can go to the site plan. Yeah, there's an enclosed trash space inside that area that's behind gates and enclosed. All the trash comes in from above, drops down, so it won't be part of the public space. We've been taking a lot of care to kind of enclose it and make sure it's got drains and is handled without any public space seeing it.
Roy will tell you I've been kind of a pain on this one to get. This one's kind of the center of downtown, and it's got to be done correctly. The property to the north of that belongs to the city, and there will be nothing used for that property in the future to meet fire code. We may need to make the notation that property has to remain in the public realm, because that's how we get by with the fire code issues on that end.
And it's important to note too, we've met with the fire chief, building department. This is in the fire district of the city, so it's non-combustible construction. Everything is built to the highest level of sprinkler requirements. So a very safe, durable, long-term building. The owner intends on keeping this building and being a permanent neighbor and participant in downtown Springdale.
Is there any comments from the audience? Okay, this is,
The variances are together for the setback again, and that's the second floor that's not set back 35 feet, or the floor's up above the second, and it's 15.3 feet?
Correct.
And then when you get to the very top, it's back out, it's the same height?
That's right, the roof comes back out to shelter the walkway, that's right. So if we followed the form code, the setback would be all the way back here by that red line, and you would lose the entire top floor of residences. So we're gaining the top floor, we're also gaining the overhang over the walkways to make them safer.
And as Roy said, this is a very unique site. It's kind of between the park and Spring Street. It's kind of a narrow, odd-shaped lot, and so I think a hardship on this is, though you decided to build on this building, it does create a unique situation for this one to be built on.
This is not a precedent, this is a hardship. Yes.
That's why it's in the
Yeah, yes.
documentation that way.
This be a call for the vote for the variances.
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote by Mr. Tyler.
Cloud,
Yes.
Compton. Hussein,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes,
Parker,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Austin.
Yes.
that passes 7-0.
What I didn't say at the beginning, this is handled as a non-large scale because of the size of the lot. So had they not needed this deviation, it doesn't come to you at all. And they did go ahead and submit it so you could see what it looks like. It's hard to ask you to give a deviation if you can't see what it looks like. The submission was made earlier in the week or last week. And so we're going through, there's some details we still have to work out, but we'll work out those at the staff level.
On a personal note, it's a pleasure and an honor to present in this room tonight. Thank you all.
Thank you. The next item is B 23-120, Niles Graham, presented by Niles Graham.
Hello, Niles Graham, I'm at 5503 West Kyaline Road. What I'm looking to do is go from a 20-foot setback to an 8-foot setback. I'm having a shed built, as you can see in the diagram. That's actually gonna be at 10 feet. And then just off of the house, I'm gonna have a pool built next year. So we just kind of tied it all into one. The pool's actually going to be just at 10 feet, but with the waterfall rock formation, it's about 9.5 feet from the fence line. So Burton Pools told me to ask for the 8 foot. I'm willing to work with either.
Staff comments?
Does building inspection, fire marshal, anybody have any comments on this one?
Yeah, so I was just, the permit that was pulled, and I can let Ed comment on this, is this for a pool house, or was this for the pool, or what was?
No, so there's two permits being pulled. One's for the pool and then a separate one for the garage.
The garage, and how big is the garage?
It's 25 by 35.
25 by 35?
Yes, sir. And it's a steel frame building, it's just to store vehicles in.
Just
There's
to
no
store
upstairs or anything like that.
Okay. Well, the concern initially, we weren't exactly sure where this building was gonna be, and the concern that this might become, later since it's near commercial zoning, that this might become a commercial business, used for commercial business building. So the setback, we were trying to encourage, rather than going from 8, going to 10, so that if it ever was changed and went to a commercial use, that it wouldn't infringe upon that. So that's the recommendation of the fire department, is to be no less than 10, which isn't much. I mean, you're talking a couple feet, but it would meet anything in the future, so.
Right, yeah, 2 feet's not really gonna make a huge difference, so I appreciate that. I'd be fine
Yeah,
with that.
so you're okay with 10 feet?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So you are amending your variance request to reduce it from 20 feet to 10?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because you want the pool to still be at 8, but the setback for the structure itself will be 10? Okay?
Okay.
Somebody said garage. Are we talking about a garage or a shed?
So I'm not too familiar with these new garages or sheds that they do. For me, it's a garage. There's no electrical going to it, but that's where my vehicle is gonna be stored. But it is a metal The beams are wooden, they go into the ground, but the rest of the structure is metal. Yes, sir.
The shed
Yes, sir.
in the lower left, that's the garage shed. We're just talking about the same thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, this would be a call for the vote for the reduction of the rear setback from 20 to 10.
Except for the pool, and the pool area would be from 20 to 8.
Yeah, the fire department has no issue with the pool, but, yeah.
Ed, are you good with that too?
Yes.
Call for the vote by Mr. Parker.
Compton. Hussein.
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Austin.
Yes.
Cloud.
Yes.
That passes 7-0.
Thank you.
You still need to get permits from the building inspector, though?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The next item is B 23-122, Roy Humphreys, presented by Roy Humphreys.
Evening. I'm here to ask for the variance for a reduction in a residential neighborhood on the setback from 30 feet to 13 feet.
Staff comments?
Building inspection, or anybody over there have any comments?
It's a front, it's an aesthetics issue.
What are you adding to the front that you need that setback variance?
Adding a two-car garage to an existing two-car garage. Ever since we bought our son, and we have 3 drivers and 4 vehicles, and we like to have things kept inside and not sitting in the driveway. You know, one reason for storms and hail, and we just think it looks better. It's a better curb appeal. Plus, we can pull in and out and not have to back out. That doesn't show, okay, if you're backing out of the driveway, you can see to your left, but to see to your right, you don't look straight to your right, you have to look in your blind spot. And when we're backing up, we've had, some close instances of people, coming down the road or walking on the sidewalk, and it's kind of a hazard. If we have company over, they have to park on the street. Our driveway's full with the cars, and that kind of turn, it's kind of a hazard.
Engineering have any comments?
I think the only thing we talked about on this one was a vacation of a utility easement, but I think y'all got with Springdale Water on that. We got that settled.
Springdale Water gave us up to 13, and we're only going to take 12.
Perfect.
Okay, did they do a recognition of an encroachment, or did they vacate the utility easement?
They vacated the utility easement.
And all the other utilities too, not just Springdale Water? Okay, we're good.
Will the front look like it similar to what it looks like now? Is that your intent, to be
It's
similar?
going to look exactly the same brick, same windows, except it's going to be one A-frame. It's not going to have that indentation.
Understood, yeah.
But it's just going to look exactly the same, but further out.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a call for the vote.
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote by Mr. Cloud.
Hussein.
Yes.
Parker. Tyler.
Yes.
Austin.
Yes.
Cloud.
Yes.
Compton. That's it. No, wait a minute, I missed somebody. I missed you. Mueller.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
You will need to get with building inspection to get your permit.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item is B 23-124, Anderson Electric and Plumbing Supply, presented by Andrew Marks.
Good evening.
Well, for those, if anybody knows Andrew, and wondering if he got a little taller or a little less good looking, I'm not Andrew Marks.
More
My
hair.
name's Kevin Anderson, and my family owns Anderson Electric and Plumbing Supply. Andrew was scheduled to be here, but my travel plans changed due to some unfortunate events, so I'm here. Andrew's also our neighbor and owns the property, one of the properties adjacent to what we're discussing this evening. Anderson Electric Plumbing Supply, actually, it's an ongoing business. We've been in business for 35 years. My family has owned it for 20 years. We have 3 stores, and the Springdale store that we're talking about is the kind of the hub of our operations. If you've been out there, it's on Bulldog Avenue, so it's about a quarter-mile dead-end street off of Highway 71 business. The area, businesses in the area are similar to ours. There's a little bit of retail, but it's mostly wholesale, tradespeople, cabinet makers. I've got 2 customers that literally are right across the road that lease the building, that are electricians, to the lot we're discussing. My family purchased the 3 lots in question 4 years ago, identical ownership to Anderson Electric Plumbing Supply. And we initially purchased it as a buffer and for the possibility of growth if we needed to expand. And that has happened and started to happen. So we're busting at the seams, quite literally. Good to be in Northwest Arkansas. And so one of the lots we purchased, the one that's the furthest from Highway 71, that lot had an existing gravel base to it that had been there for as long as we can remember, at least 15 years. So what made logical sense to us was to expand our existing pipe yard, which is almost right across the road, and move some of that product across the road into that existing gravel lot. And of course, we constructed a fence. And so certainly our first preference, this is to expand, and the plan ultimately is to grow and add to those other 2 lots ultimately, probably in a 2 to 4 year period. And again, I want to emphasize that we picked the lot for this mainly because, not because of mainly because the gravel was there and that's where the lot is. If we continue to develop the property, there's no guarantee that lot, the size could change, the location could change, which is why we're ultimately asking for some flexibility. Keeping that in mind, that the plan is to continue to develop the other 2 lots, potentially add buildings. There are a couple of variance requests. The first has to do with lighting. I think there were pictures ultimately. So we have a neighbor to the west of us that's done a pretty good job of their lighting, and so you can see it lights up our lot pretty well. Again, it's a low retail traffic area. There's essentially no traffic in evenings at night. And for security standpoint, from our view, we're happy with that. But again, thinking the lighting should be sufficient. In regards to screening, again, keeping in mind we've just simply moved items that are already on one side of the road. We've moved on the other side of the road. There's no adjoining residential property to any of these lots. It's more in a kind of a commercial industrial hybrid kind of area for practical purposes. Property's well maintained. The fence line to our south already there's a tree line there. You can see there. So that's provides some natural existing screening already. The neighbor to our west has planted some trees, younger trees, but that row of trees ultimately will provide some screening. And then ultimately, I mean, we're based on staff's, where their position is and how you're feeling about it. I mean, we're open potentially to adding some screening if necessary. Landscaping would probably be our first preference, both environmentally and just think it would look better. So we're open to that. And then if we were to have to put up, I mean, we also could put in, I think I sent a picture of that, there's a slat type material that we could also add if we had to, not our first choice, but it would certainly give us the flexibility if we have to deconstruct part of that lot and move it or change it, it would give us some flexibility to do that. And so in regards to the first variance request, that's what we're asking.
Staff comments?
Well, let me start by saying, this would have been a lot easier if you'd come talk to us before you did all this.
I agree, yeah.
Okay, we're kind of in a asking for forgiveness type situation. The gravel that was on there previously, you've expanded it quite a bit beyond what was originally there. Okay, right?
I don't know if I'd say quite a bit. I think we looked at the pictures that one day.
Well,
and
go
it was-
back and go back to the pictures. See, it's a kind of a little center in the end, and I'm not gonna argue all that, but, you know, and you said the adjacent property owner had some trees that were put up there. They were required to do some landscaping.
Right.
And that's a problem when we come in and have the property owner to the west that's done everything that needs to be done, and now we have someone coming to the next one and they don't do anything. That presents a problem for everybody. When we talked in my office, we talked about, could you present us with some kind of a long-range development plan of what you think you're gonna do with those 3 lots and some kind of a time frame of when you think we're going to see some development? Because just having that storage on that lot by itself doesn't really work well in this area. So we're kind of walking around 2 different things at one time.
So the answer to that question is, we don't have our options are this. I mean, we're growing. We're not gonna have a choice within the next 2 to 3 years. If I could predict exactly how the economy's gonna be, we're very residentially oriented, so the forecast for that is down a little over the next year. So if I had a crystal ball, I would say, you know, certainly within the next 2 to 4 years, we're not gonna, our 2 options are develop those 2 pieces of property, the other 2 lots, and incorporate what's there into it, or open another location, either north or south. Those are my 2 options. Our preference is definitely to expand the Springdale operation as a hub. It just makes more sense with our business model, because that hub supplies our other stores. So that's certainly our first preference, and again, just hope you can give us some flexibility, keeping in mind, we may have to, that lot it's there because the gravel is there. It may not be there when we develop the property.
Well, the initial building that you were in was before the subdivision went in. You were there first, before the design standards went into place. So that's why you don't have some of those things on the existing site. I guess my question is, if we were to provide you an option to allow it to stay that way with a bill of assurance that in a year we go back and look at where we are, is that a possibility?
So leave it as is for a year, is that what you're saying, or?
I'm starting with how we would, you know, what's the time frame that you're comfortable with?
Gotcha. So I don't think we develop the property within a year. 2 years certainly would be a possibility. Could go out as far as 4, and that all depends on the economy and our, you know, how good business is.
Well, development all over town is like that. I mean, none of us have a crystal ball that works, but I need to ask engineering if there's some concerns with drainage hasn't been addressed at all.
No, we haven't done a drainage report or anything on this site. There was gravel on the site previously. It's unclear how much, and then, you know, how much has been added now. We have not had any complaints about drainage at this point, but it would definitely have to be taken into account, you know, when the entire property is.
Okay, when you go to the other end of the subdivision, there's quite a bit of work that was done with drainage because it drains directly into the creek. So at a minimum, will we need a drainage analysis done at this site to be able to determine whether there needs to be some detention on site?
I'll have to look at it a little more to see so, but I don't expect that this would need detention.
Okay.
You may not anticipate that, but don't we normally make people get drainage reports on almost anything, even really small parking lots? Don't we have people do that? Katie?
Yes, we have in the past.
Okay.
Okay, at a minimum, there's some things that we need to look at. You know, the adjacent property had to do a lighting plan that shows that the lighting doesn't spill over on the other site. And they do a drainage analysis. Could we get that done before we make any determination on how long we want to let this stay? Or is there plenty other planning commission members that have some other questions before we move on?
Yeah, I have a few. clearly this is what I would call a laydown yard for materials that are too big to store in a building or whatever. And obviously, when you're doing plumbing and sewer and all that, and not sewer, but what's the other word? Non-sewer.
Drainage.
Septic, thank you. Ah, so hard. So yeah, I think Patsy hit it on the head. You know, we've got your neighbor that had to do everything we asked in commercial development, and you've come in, and granted, right now, you know, it is off the road. One concern I would have is to see this right on 71. I think I'd have a problem with that if this lay-down yard expanded all the way out to 71, which could happen from the standpoint of if that's going to be your hub, a lot of materials. I think I'd be for screening currently of the existing fence, just so you don't have to sit there and look at those plastic containers, and probably some more landscaping, complete the sidewalk. But I think, to me, just give them a year and let's come back and revisit it, depending on how things are happening around there, how your business is going. Yeah, it's kind of put us in a difficult position because there's nothing about this that looks like what we see there just to the west of you.
Could we ask you to table it for a month and come back and show us some analysis of the drainage, landscaping plan, some kind of screening plan that you could do, that you could live with? Our ordinance doesn't allow you to put slats in a chain link fence.
Say the last thing again?
It doesn't allow you to put slats in a chain link fence.
Is there any variance to that whatsoever, any flexibility? The reason we present, I think I sent some information on one of the things we were looking at. I know you're trying to get away from that. And if those slats were there for, if that was our permanent solution, I definitely get that. The slats, I thought ultimately make it easy on us to pull them back out and to pull that fence back out as we change. It could easily change size where it is. The slats make it easier for us to do that.
Well, everybody wants the easy way to do things. The standards are there so that we set a standard for everybody else. You can come back and propose whatever you want to, but let me say that the standards say you can't put slats in there. So you have to feel what you feel comfortable with. The Planning Commission wants to see, I think, that you're trying to at least address the design standards in some manner instead of saying we're going to do just exactly what we want to do. And I think that's my recommendation, to table it for a month, and you come back and tell us what you could do to make it in a better position to meet at least some of the design standards that we have.
And landscaping would be one of those options, right? And actually, I'm open, I prefer that over the slats. I think it looks better.
Well,
I think the landscaping is the low-hanging fruit for sure. That we should, yeah.
But trees that are this size and about this tall, that doesn't count.
Yeah, I got it. It's gotta be 8 feet.
You got to be able to screen with it if you're going to put landscaping in there. So, you know, you got to make an effort to address some of that, okay?
Okay, yeah, that's reasonable. Yeah, we're totally open to doing the landscaping, so, for sure.
Are you guys good with tabling it for a month and let him come back with some ideas?
Yes.
And then propose that you would want it for a bill of assurance for a year or whatever time frame you want, and see if we can get somewhere with that.
Okay, that sounds
Okay.
reasonable. Sure.
And if you want to get with engineering, we can talk about the drainage analysis that we'll need as well.
Okay, yeah, because we discussed it before, and because it's been there so long, we kind of leaning towards it was probably all right, because there have been no issues, 0. And we didn't add that much gravel, but yeah, certainly open to.
Yeah, just give me a call, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, okay. Sounds good.
Oh, you're saying, Katie, that he needs to do a drainage analysis and a report, so you have that to look at, because we make everybody else do a drainage report on that
Right,
piece of
and there may
property.
not be mitigation required, but we'll probably want to see at least the impact. But we'll have to see that first to tell you if there's mitigation required.
Which means you need a civil engineer.
Do we have any comments from the audience?
We did get one comment, and that's kind of, I'll read it in there to make sure we get it in the record. But I kind of addressed some of those issues already. Hold on a second. I keep turning the pages till I find it. This is from Sean Roller. I want to thank you for talking to me this morning. My name is Sean Roller, and I am the owner of Rollers Commerce Custom Woodwork LLC, the property that is on the west side of Anderson's lot. I feel it is not a good look to let this continue. I am someone who just built a commercial building with the design standards in place. As much as I had to spend to be able to complete this project by keeping the standards in place, I agree with a lot of the standards. They are put in place to keep Springdale commercial properties and the city looking great. Not sure what else to say, except maybe they need to invest in industrial property that is not on 71 Business next to me or the other businesses that are building on the same street. Thank you. That's just to go into the. So you're agreeable to table this, and we'll put you on the first of the, you'll be close to the first. We've tabled lots of stuff on the agenda tonight, but you'll be closer to the front.
Okay. On your next item on the agenda for the asphalt, you do the same there? Same? Okay, got it. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Next is the Springdale Planning Commission schedule for 2024.
Again, we worked really hard to make sure we get the dates right. Every once in a while, we miss one, you know. All of us has looked at it, all of us has tried to catch it. We hope it's right, but we need a motion to approve and a second so that we can have this as the deadline for all submissions.
So are we comfortable with July 2nd? Does that work better than the 9th?
Well, council meeting would be the next week. We're just lucky in that it's close to the first of the month, you know.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hussein. Second by Mr. Parker.
Parker. Tyler.
Yes.
Austin.
Yes.
Cloud.
Yes.
Compton. Hussein.
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes. That passes 7-0.
Okay, we'll get that out on the website as soon as we can, because I know there's some projects and submission deadlines that are coming up pretty quick.
Planning Director's report.
Traditionally, we have not had work sessions in November and December. November 1 is the week of Thanksgiving. If somebody wants to cook dinner, we'd be glad to come to dinner if you like to cook early in the week. And it's usually so close to Christmas, we don't do those. Now, if y'all want to have a meeting in one of those, we'll be glad to have one, but anybody got a problem with taking those 2 months off? Howard agrees with reluctance to make that in the. I don't have anything else unless somebody has questions.
I was just going to give a shout out on the Master Street Plan to everybody who worked on that. Thank you for that. Kind of enjoyed looking at that, actually going over that. And the last work session was a very productive one. So shout out. Thank you.
Ben, you want to give us an update on your plan?
I think I figured it out. I was pressing the wrong button. Yeah, so after we had our work session, we took notes at that. We took notes internally through all of the staff. We are going through revisions, and then we probably will send out a revised master street plan document and map, I would think right before Thanksgiving. So you'll have something to read while you're off.
And we're going to actually schedule the public hearing on the master street plan update for the December meeting, correct?
We hope so, unless we find some things that devolve and cause us to go backwards, like rewriting the ordinance.
We have to know by next week to get the notice in the newspaper on time, okay?
I'll let you know 1 minute before the deadline.
Okay, guys, you heard that. Get ready.
Okay. We're adjourned.
Very good job. 6, I've got 6, yeah.